everyone, and welcome back to Ask a Family Specialist. My name is Bethany, and I'm a certified child and family specialist here at Crayons to Confidence. I have 2 degrees in child and family development and early childhood education. I have research published in social and emotional development. I've spoken at numerous childhood mental and emotional health conferences, and today I'm here to talk to you about name calling. Our question today comes from Teresa. Teresa says, do you have any good advice for how kids handle other kids calling them ugly names? There are some kids in our neighborhood who are always calling others mean names, and I want to kick their butt, but I'm guessing that's probably not appropriate. What should be the next course of action? Name calling is one of the oldest and most common conflicts whenever it comes to childhood. It's present in nearly every single movie about kids. It's present in every coming of age story, and it's been present in most of our childhoods as well. And before we get into the ways that we should be responding whenever we see name calling happening with our own children, we first have to understand why name calling is actually happening. Sometimes kids call other kids ugly names out of anger. Maybe your child did something to another child that child didn't like, and name calling was that child's way of impulsively defending themselves. Sometimes name calling is because of an example that they've seen elsewhere. Unfortunately, there are a lot of households where parents and siblings alike call their loved ones nasty names, and it's possible that this child has internalized name calling as a term of endearment. But more often than not, it's about powerlessness. Let's face it, kids are some of the most out of control individuals on the planet because their whole life is determined for them by adults. Gradually, over the course of their childhood, they are supposed to gain their independence little by little. But sometimes parents haven't exactly assisted them in this in developmentally appropriate ways. And because of that, they're often left to discover this sense of independence and this power and this authority for themselves. And most of the time, they're going to do it in ways we don't prefer. Either way, it's no excuse for that child calling your child a name, but it does help us to understand why it's happening. And the more we understand why our child is being called a name, the better we will be able to step in and respond. Our first step is to validate the situation and the way our child was feeling about it. Connect with your child about the problem at hand and work towards finding a solution together. Say to them, hey, I noticed that your friend was calling you some names. How do you feel whenever they do that? You know, I would probably feel pretty upset if they were calling me rude names too. How would you prefer that he treat you in the future, and how can we let him know? Then the next step is to communicate. Approach the other child with your child and communicate together. Hey, we didn't like the way you spoke to us earlier. Be specific here. Relay all the information that you got in the validation phase so that we can bring this other child into the picture and get everyone on the same page. Help your child to communicate. Hey, I felt upset when you called me that ugly name. Next time, I would prefer that you call me by my real name in the future. Is that something that you'd be able to do? Wait for the response from the other child. If the answer is yes, problem solved and we get to move on. But if the answer is no and the behavior continues, we have to move on to our final phase. This is the enforcement stage. After a few hours or a couple of days have passed, check back in with your child. Ask them, hey, how's it going with your friend? Have they stopped calling you those ugly names? If it's no longer an issue, great. We've solved it. We get to move on. But if it is still an issue, our job in this phase is to help our child establish a boundary and follow through. Rehearse with your child so that they can say, hey, I've asked you to stop calling me names. If you can't do that, I'm going to choose to play with someone else. If the behavior stops after your child has reminded them, great. But if not, we have to follow through. So make sure whatever boundary and consequence your child lays out is one that they're actually okay with doing if the situation comes to that. Practice saying, I told you I was not going to play with you anymore if you could not stop calling me names. I'm going to play with another friend now. Don't come play with me again until you're ready to call me by my real name. Now, if your child is young or they are brand new to these emotionally difficult and vulnerable and mature conversations, they're probably going to need quite a bit of assistance from you, and that's okay. The younger they are and the newer they are to these conversations, the more help they're going to need. So feel free to step in and assist them with any of these thoughts, this idea, or the communications. But as they get older, you'll want to start handing more and more of the responsibility over to them so that they learn how to communicate this way on their own for the future. Since this is a conflict resolution dialogue that involves more than just one child, though, there's going to be a number of ways that this conversation could go and a number of different questions that could arise along the way. We explore all of these potential outcomes in our name calling webinar, which I'm linking in the caption of this video. For more information on name calling, you can get a ticket to the webinar, or you can visit www.crayonstoconfidence.com. As a member, you'll get all kinds of behavioral resources, courses, and even on-call access to a child and family specialist who can answer your specific questions. If you found this video helpful, be sure to like and subscribe to the YouTube channel so you know when the next question's been answered. I'll see you guys next time.